Hello everyone and welcome to the FRS. I'm your host Roy Waller, and tonight we start the third season of the FRS GT Series here at the WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. And we're just getting underway with our first laps of qualifying as last straight takes us this opening lap. This Laguna Circuit Raceway. Jump on board and allow that to take us around. It's a relatively short track here at Laguna Seca. Be interesting with the number of cars we have here tonight. 42 in total, and perhaps with some late joiners. It's going to be very interesting to see how they find space for each other out on track. This is usually only around a low 120s for a lap, so there could be a few drivers stumbling over each other as we get further into the session. But for our AMG Mercedes that we are following with right now, no such problems. There's a lovely clear track in front of it. Comes to cross the line. We'll see what our first lap time of the evening will be, and it is a 1:22.2. So, well, we're not quite sure what sort of lap times we'd expect around Laguna Seca with this 1.9 patch, but already seeing competitive lap times to what we would see as competitive for 1.8. So definitely looking like these drivers not lost too much pace. We have seen anyone who's been keeping up with the Fanatic esports to date. The Mercedes does look like it is a strong car, so we will be keeping an eagle eye on which cars are moving to the top of the standings. And as has been mentioned in chat, we do have a slightly unusual format for GT racing, as we do have a number of teams out tonight, and well, I say unusual. You do occasionally see in GT racing a number of different teams, but yeah. So as we go between the cars tonight, we will see, you may see familiar names between some of the competitors. As we have our current fastest silver driver, Josh Ostick, in the Odyssey Audi Sport, very featuring forest livery, as we see the BMW, that's the number 7 BMW of Von Scheven diving off the track. And we've got a number of new and returning drivers for this third season of the GT Series. As I believe our current provisional pole sitter is a new joiner. It is not a name that I remember, so I do apologise if it's one that I should. But we're beginning to see drivers posting in their lap times and getting some more pace under them. As up in second place, we've got new driver Manuel Hartwich in the Madcap Racing Lamborghini. Again, another one of the new cars that was introduced by the 1.9 patch. Those of you who have been living on another planet, those new cars are the Lamborghini we are seeing right here. And we'll go and see another new cars now being driven by Thomas Spike. This is the Ferrari 296. Completely new car from Ferrari, not an Evo, completely new GT3 car. Looks remarkably different to the old 488. A lot lower driving position for these drivers, so very interesting for a GT car. And we'll be looking forward to seeing how that performs out there tonight. And then the third of our new cars the Porsche 992. Since it's being driven by Florin Mattei in the CRA team. The new Porsche based off of the new Porsche Cup car 992, and a phenomenal engine sound from that thing. If you ever get the opportunity to experience this thing in real life, I recommend you get along to a race. It absolutely roars. So, in order to explain the format that we have for you tonight, this will be a 20-minute qualifying session that you are watching right now, with just over 12 minutes remaining. We'll then follow this up straight away with a 1-hour race. That race will have a mandatory pit stop with a fixed time refueling window, so at least 25 seconds spent in the pit lane for these drivers, or sorry, in the pit box for these drivers. However, no mandatory tyre change. So it will be interesting to see whether any drivers do opt to go for the single set of tyres for the race. From what I've heard with this new patch, it's a bit more difficult to do that now. You do experience a bit more tyre wear as the race goes on. So, yeah, going to be a voyage into the unknown for a lot of these drivers, working out what is the faster strategy. As we have got the team principal of a number of teams here on screen right now. This is Conor McDermott in the Kennett Crow FTL course. That Crow, or KRO acronym, will be seen across many of the cars out there tonight. Conor McDermott stumping up the cash to front a number of teams. A bit of a cartel running in the FRS GT Series. As McDermott crosses the line with a 1:22.6 to put him up into P6 so far. Solid lap from the Ferrari driver. Oof. And this won't be such a solid lap as he goes out onto the grass. We check in with Kevin Nordemir, another one of the drivers driving one of the Crow sponsored teams, this time the Golf Iron Brew Racing by Crow. Nordemir, as with Conor McDermott, has driven in at least part of all three of the FRS GT Series seasons. Currently got himself up into E8. One of our returning drivers in a very fetching livery. Khalid Ramadan in the Ram Racing AMG Mercedes. Actually very reminiscent of the Williams Esports livery. As we're seeing yellow flags out on track. And the remaining of our drivers are getting out on track. And yeah, as you can probably see by the timing tower, we have got three classes of driver out there tonight. We have got our pros, our silvers and our amateurs. So each will be competing for the split win as well as the overall win. But these splits are not set in stone right now, so there's a number of new drivers and we can't always be certain of someone's pace, even with evaluation races. So yeah, these could potentially shift around as the season goes on. As we have a new pole sitter, and didn't catch this when this happened, but currently Gabriel Gonzalez in the Porsche put it on pole by over 22-0, or 1:22.0. as our second batch of drivers are getting underway with the first of their flying laps. And its first one to cross the line will not be Elliot Hicks, as he is currently on his outlap. It will be Hark Harkema in the Good Smile Racing Audi R8. I do appreciate some people sticking with the Audi, as I myself am still trying to decide whether I'm going to stick with the Audi or move over to the Ferrari, but it is a glorious sounding car, is the R8, with that naturally aspirated V10 engine, has torque for days and screams like a banshee. As I'll come up, just coming around the final sector now. We'll see where does he sit. Hark Harkema was what we would call in the last season a pro silver driver, as they very regularly ended up sitting right between the pro and the silver trains, just sort of driving around on their own. But at the moment, sitting down in P15, but with plenty of time to set their laps. As another returning driver, who's also driving in the FRS Porsche Cup, the Porsche Hyper Cup, I should say, will be broadcast tomorrow. There's Gökhan Akdeniz in the Ferrari 296. It's into P11 there. Solid effort from the silver driver. Currently second of the silver qualifiers. Some positions behind Conor McDermott, but plenty of time to go out there and improve that time. As we're beginning to get times on the board for all of our drivers. As we have an unpainted livery here from Mitchell Van Winsum. Perhaps just a mistake in the upload, or maybe a late upload, but hopefully we can get that sorted for the next round. But we'll see what can Van Winsum do, improving on this lap. They cross the line, cruise by half a second up to P23 or 124.3. Try and make sure we get some screen time for all of our drivers at some point tonight. As we have Marvin Helgert on track to qualify, routinely one of the fastest drivers of the FRS, both in Formula 1 and in Assetto Corsa Competizione. As Helgert finishes the final sector, they on to improve. Looking like it should be an improvement, and this could take pole, and it does. 1:21.882, as we have got yellow flags out for Simon Wanda. The Only Clowns Crow GT team, just raking the sand, it does look like, and hopefully he can find his way safely back onto the circuit. There's another one of our Porsche Cup drivers, Christophe de May, is on an improving lap with just the final sector to navigate. Very nice livery on the Scuderia car number 15. worth pointing out as well, Marvin Helge, the returning champion from Season 2. And also Season 1 of the FRS GT Series, so going to be looking to hold on to their crown for the 3rd season in a row. As our leading silver driver at the moment, although not by much at the moment, as Vizo Su only 1.3 hundredths of a second behind. But yeah, Conor McDermott is our returning champion, or silver champion, from Season 2. And actually, from even though he won in the silver in Season 2, does stay in silver. If you have any delay on your stream, by the way, do just try refreshing the browser or just hitting the live button at the bottom of the screen. Maybe a slight delay, but hopefully nothing too major. As you see, Greg Harrison in the Zord Sport Mercedes just getting out of the way of someone there. And Greg Harrison, one of our broadcasters in the FRS, has broadcast numerous Formula 1 and ACC races, and has very kindly provided us with our intro video that we will see just before the race. Right, so yep, any credit for that must go to Greg Harrison, known as Herring Zord. Alex needs to get a wiggle on. Doesn't have a time on the board yet, and is getting towards panic time for Ames. Pro driver does not want to be starting down in 42nd position. Stick with Ames because they are under pressure from the number 22, which is not a position you want to be in qualifying, especially when the number 22 is a silver driver, although that said is a very quick silver driver if the Porsche Hypercup is anything to go back with a huge Stitchbury. As it just looks like Stitchbury backing off there, yep, and has pulled over to the side and will be returning to the garage. We're going to stick with Ames for a while, as it doesn't look like any of our top runners quite in the position to improve their lap time. And well, Ames is the one with the biggest risk, needs to just keep it tidy. Thankfully just about keeping within track limits as well. So this is going to be their final shot. Keeps it tidy, and this is going to be a one-lap wonder for Ames. Looking like it should be a decent time. Might not be challenging those at the top, but will definitely put them higher than the 42nd they tucked themselves in, and it's 33rd for Ames. But we are now going to check in with our pole sitter, or our guaranteed pole sitter now, but see how much can they improve by, as Helge going to be lying down a real gauntlet here. Crosses the line, and well, I couldn't see exactly what that was, but I believe it was around a 1:21.5. So really solid pace being shown by Helge in that qualifying session. And we'll be back in just a short moment to start tonight's race, so don't go anywhere. again, thank you for the intro video, Mr. Harringzord. Mr. Harrison, I should say. As we take you through the starting grid for tonight's race. On pole position, we have got Marvin Helge, the Porsche, still looking like it's a strong car around Laguna Seca, as it has been in the past. Then got Gabriel Consalves, Greg Pentilla, Hartwick, Bike, Hudson, Mullard, DeMay. We have the first of our silvers, Colin McDermott. Ooh. As we got burn off for our apologies, but hopefully we won't see any more jumping as we go find McDermott again. We then have Sue, Track, Actonitz, Lightbody, Nordemir, Ramdan, Sumner, Titchbury, Klein, Civic, Wanda, Arkhammer, Matai, Van der Heijden, Hofstede, Royale, Hicks, Van Winsum, Gardy, Spit. They're going by too quickly for me to read out. Too many drivers. All panic stations now. As we try and go through the rest of the drivers. Apologies as my mouse just gets stuck and I can't get back to the game. Where were we? So in 20th we have got Civic, Wanda, Arkema, Matai, Van der Heijden. We have Hofstede, Royale, Hicks, Van Winsum in the unliveried Audi. Then have returning joint was it bronze? Was it? I think it was bronze champion, and the other joint bronze champion side by side on the grid. It was Garley and Spit, both up into silver now. Josh Ostick, number 31. There's two. We have got Karpinen, we then have Amez, Von Scheven, Von Ammenstein, Harrison, Struthers, Jacob, Montanino, Knees, and rounding out the back of the field is Thomas Wilkes. We return to the front of our grid for the green flag in tonight's race here at Laguna Seca. And this is a 1 hour race with mandatory pit stop as Marvin Helge prepares to lead the pack away from the front. As the green flag waves and we are racing at Laguna Seca. Marvin Helge, a good start there. As also we've got connection issues for Hartwich, but we are hoping that that goes well. Oh, as we've got a Ferrari off, and that is contact with Hartwich as do the rest of the cars manage to navigate this. Oh, and there is bumping all around, and overall just a little bit of a mess at the back. Oh, and that was a messy start to this race, and a number of drivers dropping down the field. See who are our big winners and losers from that. Wait for things to play out, but at the front, Helge leading the way from Gonçalves. As Helge with a 1 second lead is P2. He's being fought over. things shake out, it looks like Thomas Wilkes, potentially one of our biggest losers from all of that. Rashweg is keeping with this pack, fighting over P2 at the moment. A decent number of drivers keeping pace, but as we've got a move for P17, lead Ramadan is in past Hartford Kemmer, who seems to be just dropping back a little bit. Keeping relatively tight with just one driver into the pits, that is Hartford, which was that incident we saw very early on. We've got yellow flags out. What has happened there is we've got Bram Jacob and Royale in the sand. They're getting away now. See what has happened here. Battling up ahead of these two. Already a considerable amount of damage on the front of the Mercedes of Jakob. Oh, as there's contact between the Lamborghini and the Ferrari up ahead, that causes Mercedes to run wide into a tank slapper, and oh, just really unfortunate. But that is going to be even more damage to the front of that Mercedes, as we're seeing battling now. This is over second place in the AM split as Von Ammenstein is catching up to the back of Harrison. Ooh, as we've got a spinning Ferrari, manages to get himself back underway. I'm not sure what's happened there. I'm sure we will find out, but been a penalty given by the stewards. I believe that was for car number 23. Oh no, apologies, that was for car number 32, so let's suspect that was for the very starting incident, so let's see if we can get a replay of that at the very start. And oh, just very much missing their braking point. This is the incident we saw at the very start. So they come straight across and collecting multiple drivers, returning onto the track as well. Actually keeping themselves up into P10, but causing carnage for a lot of other drivers, and yeah, I've got to say a deserved penalty there. We're getting a lot of position changes in the middle, as it looks like the pro driver of Van der Heijden has dropped back, and Josh Ostick also falling back. So many drivers all bunched up together here. One little mistake can see you losing plenty of positions. Oh, as we've got the Ferrari of Matai out into the sand. And, oh, just having to sit there and wait for everyone to come by as he tries to get himself back started again. That is a sorry sight to see indeed. We'll check back in that. This is the second position driver in the silver split is Vizo Su. Driver is currently carrying that 10 seconds of penalties and is looking to close in on the pro drivers ahead of them. As at the front of this pack is the lead silver driver, Conor McDermott. So the battle over silver is definitely still close, even though it may not look quite as close from the timing down. Well, trying to decide where to watch as we've got battling all over the place as Philip von Scheven battling with Bakos. As contact in the background as the Ferrari of Stitchbury coming in hot. Somehow no contact made. Lights are blinking from the McLaren of Karppinen. It's turning really into a just a stint of the race to just stay out of trouble as Lightbody and Sue side by side. I mean, I would apologise if I'm missing any of the action, but I think at this point in the race it's impossible not to, as there's usually action just about anywhere on track you want to look. Tom Lightbody keeping ahead of Sue, as I'm not sure if something's happened to Conor McDermott as they've dropped back, no longer leading the silver. That now goes to Sue, as Matthias Pentilla has also lost out third position to Streg. And up at the front, Gabriel Gonzalez has managed to close in the gap to we're going to check back in with our silver bunch now, because it's all changed again and I'm not quite sure what's happened here. We're going to have to go see if we can get like a replay this, because we moved away from this battle earlier to go and check in with our leaders. This is a bit of a longer replay, but we have seen a position change for the lead of the silver class. So I can only imagine a mistake is made here by Sue, which allows McDermott back through. Oh, and there's the mistake. Just chunks a little bit too much of the sausage curb. This is what allows McDermott through, and there just behind you can see Actonets as well. So this are the three front runners of our silver class, all three in the Ferrari 296. And they are nose to tail coming up to the corkscrew, and we will hopefully in but a moment jump back to our live view. But that is how Sue got himself passed by McDermott. I'm not sure what has happened to... Kevin Nordemir has taken a pit stop, as has Royale, as we saw earlier. And finds himself down in P40, but the lead car of those two have taken a pit stop, so it's going to be interesting to watch their race. I'm not sure if there was a collision or damage which caused them to jump in for the early pit stop. Keep an eye on their plight throughout this race. As there is an absolute train of cars from P25 downwards. Sorry, even P24 downwards, with the pro driver of Ames on the back of Struthers. And this is causing an absolute traffic jam behind, as this train extends from 24th all the way down to P37. Alex Ames through Struthers now, as also through is Christophe Demey, the two pro split drivers who found themselves way down the order, so they can start to stretch their legs and catch up to the pack ahead, as Ewan Stitchbury making his way past Hofstedt, just about keeping it on the racing surface there. And there's a good move up into P19. As we've got another pitter. Oscar Sumner, who looks like they're just returning to the pits. And this might be to retire the car, so it doesn't look like the most, well, maybe not. Didn't look like the most rapid of pit entries. As again, we've still got the lead trio of our silver split, not separated by very much out on track. As Vizo Su carrying that 10-second penalty, but just half a second behind Conor McDermott, really laying on the pressure there. Needs to get by McDermott if they want any chance of taking the win in this silver split. Always there's contact between Actonitz and Su. Su managing just to keep on going, but that has now increased the gap in front of them to McDermott, so aren't going to be attacking quite as much as they were before. And yeah, just a little bit sloppy from Actonitz there. As we see a penalty come out for car number 71. That is for Tom Lightbody. I'm not sure. That one's what? Let's go see if we can find out what Tom Lightbody has found themselves involved in. Have to check in. I see a few incidents involving Lightbody, and I don't want to go through and check all of them. I need to make sure for the next race I can find the steward sheet. But the gaps within our top 10 beginning to open out just a little bit now. Although that being said, still the closest battle in the top 10 are between these two drivers. Marvin Helge and Gabriel Gonzalez. Could even be tricked into thinking we were watching a race from season 2 of the FRS GT Series, if it weren't for the fact that both of these drivers are now driving the brand new Porsche 992. These two are not strangers to each other, having fought all of the GT Series season 2, both in the same car again. That time it was the Honda NSX. Now both drivers switched over to the Porsche and going strong. As check back in again with our lead trio in the silver split. Vizo Su almost attached to the diffuser of the Ferrari ahead of him. Oh, as he takes a big old chunk off the sausage curb. Seems to be the thing that's causing the most position swaps in this race. As Klein doing well to avoid Su there, but in doing so takes themselves way off track and is now back behind Su. But this has now removed an impediment from the way of Actonitz, and they can start looking to chase down McDermott, as they appear to be doing so now. Check in with right further down in our silver. Some drivers we've not had a chance to check in with as much as. Oh, that looked like that was Von Scheven there going nose first into the wall, and that will not have done their BMW much good. But another car that looks like it's potentially had a similar sort of incident is that of Mitchell Van Winsum, who is now right up behind Garley. this battle over, I believe, P5 in the silver standings. There's Matei now applying the pressure to Van Winsum. Oh, as Garley, again another driver just perhaps reading a bit too much into the ACC 1.9 passion. You can take curbs now a bit more than you could, but you can't take them that much. There's the Ferrari of Garley going airborne as Matei runs wide. And, well, both Van Winsum and Matei running wide there, but the Audi and the Porsche having very different reactions to the sand, with Van Winsum carrying on and Matei disappearing into the desert. There's another car off in the sand. I'm not quite sure who that is. It is a Honda. It might be the Honda of Antilla. Either that or Sumner. Is Pinto, they've dropped down substantially. I don't think it is. But Nattrack keeping close with Ben Mallard. And other than the top two being both Porsches, we're seeing a good variety of cars in the top six, but then we have got the Ferrari group here from P7 down to P12. There's Nattrack now getting very, very close to the back of Mellor. As we saw just then, a penalty coming out for... I'll have to double check which car that was. More of the drivers make their mandatory pit stops. As Kevin Nordemer is the second place now of those who have pitted, but it is Garley is the one who picked up that 5 seconds pit stop. As Brad Spitz has been disqualified. You can only imagine that as they are in the pit lane that was due to just, well, I mean, if they're disqualified they are going to be in the pit lane, but having cleared their pit stop as well, I have to imagine that is due to just speeding in the pit lane, which if you're far too fast entering the pit lane, that will be an instant disqualification. We need to be wary of that, all of our drivers tonight. Not only do you need to worry about the speed at which you enter the pit lane, but don't accidentally shift up while you're in there, otherwise you may find yourself taking a unexpectedly early exit from the race. As now the gaps are starting to appear amongst our drivers, although looking at the track map you wouldn't believe it. Obviously there being 40 drivers still in our session, with looking like the current fastest lap times being set are a 1:23.3, so still barely 2 seconds between the drivers out on track, even if there might be more than 2 seconds gap in the standings. Means that as this race goes on, traffic, and especially back marker traffic, could become quite a deciding factor in seeing how these drivers start to deal with the slower cars coming up and potentially getting in their way. Yellow flags out for Von Schedden, actually a number of drivers. I'm not quite sure what's happened here. Let's see what happened to Von Schedden. Was there another incident on their own, or was there contact? Down to the first corner. Oh, and there is heavy contact. And that is the Ferrari of von Ammenstein. Oh, wait, please don't be offended if I've seen the wrong car there. I believe that is the von Ammenstein Ferrari. As we see another penalty come out, that for the 992 being Simon Wanda picking up a 5-second penalty. Check back in with Metra. And this is becoming a real gaggle of cars up ahead. That is the BMW of von Scheven, who is now a lap down. This battle between Nattrack and Mallard as they're side by side. Nattrack with the outside line. Mallard taking advantage of the inside line. And they are being... well, actually they're not being caught because these are back markers behind them. But the back markers keeping pace with them so far. Begin to see as we approach the halfway mark of this race. Some of our leaders now peeling into the pit lane. That track continues. Keep this pressure onto Mallard. Plenty of time remaining. At this point, no one really needs to make any rash moves. As Mallard attempts to navigate the back marker, who takes to the dirt. This could present an opportunity to Nattrack here, as both will be taking a suboptimal line, both reacting to it well though, and neither losing out too much, or at least losing out by the same amount. We're seeing more penalties coming up, this time for the number 22 car. As we're seeing our second place driver, Gabriel Gonçalves, diving into pit road. Well, how will our race leader react to that next time round? We've got some battling between our bronze split drivers down in P29 as Hartwell come up, the leader, well actually not the leader of those who have pitted, as that honour goes to Kieran Hudson in P21. Harkema finding that early pit stop has put him in amongst the we affectionately call the crab bucket, as drivers try and battle each other and just end up slowing each other all down. But Harkema making his way through nicely there, so although they're down in P30 or 29 at the moment, got the pace to just slice their way through the field. As Greg Harrison just finds himself getting out of the way. I believe that is all for a number of unlapping cars, and that's Looked like there's a little bit of a shunt into the corkscrew. There's still almost nothing to decide between these top three silver split runners. Absolutely, definitely right for these three to be classed together. They have been within about a second and a half of each other all race. And so those penalties beginning to be racked up. Hopefully all those drivers carrying those penalties at the moment have yet to serve their mandatory pit stops, so we will be able to see how those affect the running order once they make their pit stop, come back out on track, so they will all be racing for the position they find themselves in. As all three of those silver runners make their way past the back marker car number 70 of Thomas Wilkes. We approach the halfway mark of this race. Marvin Helget leading the way, yet to make their mandatory pit stop. We then have Sprague and Pentilla in P2 and 3, although we have had both Kieran Hudson and Gabriel Gonzalez making their mandatory pit stop. Currently, Gonzalez down in E14. With clear air in front of them, should be able to start putting in some decent laps and making Marvin Helget work for it, although Marvin Helget in the pits now, so this is going to be interesting to see. So, if I take a look at our pit stops here, you can see that Gabriel, there's a yellow flag out but for Gabriel, but they're back on track now, so it must have just been a slight off track for them. They spent 36 seconds stop in the pit lane, so I'm not sure if there was damage there for the BBW racing team driver, but yeah, slightly longer than we would be expecting, as Marvin Helget is now moving again in the pit lane. He's actually leaving the pit lane. It is a very long and narrow pit exit road here at Laguna Seca, but as Marvin Helget rounds the final corner, I think they find themselves comfortably ahead of Gabriel. As Gonzalez now just exiting the second corner, and yet that gap, which was less than a second before the pit stops, now at nearly 10 seconds, so that early pit stop not working out for Gabriel, and is going to have slightly more worn tyres than their competitor, with them already being almost 5 minutes into this stint. As more of our leaders beginning to peel off into the pit lane. Marvin Helget with the net lead. There's Lauren Mattei is keeping with the back of Gali, our Split winner from, or joint split winner, I should say, from season 2. So it's just taken a little bit too much curve there. And that gap opening out. With Marvin Helget now catching on to the back of some of these silver drivers. It will be interesting to see whether they opt to let him go, as any time caught up behind some of the slower drivers could be beneficial for Gabriel. As looking like these two drivers with very different braking points, they come down into the corkscrew. But at the moment, Stitchbury staying ahead. Stitchbury carrying that 10-second penalty as well. This is going to be getting frustrating for Helget, I can imagine, as Stitchbury going defensive against Gabriel. Into the first corner, Stitchbury still fighting this. Not sure if Gonçalves and Stitchbury are friends, because that was not really beneficial to their own race, but would have helped Gonçalves immeasurably, holding up Helget like that. As Matthias caught back up to the back of Guardian. He's got a good run out of the final corner. This could be the start of a move into the first corner for Matthias. And now into the braking for the first corner. Matthias just braking a little bit early there, maybe just not wanting to have an incident with the Ferrari, and in doing so loses out on the opportunity. Getting very sideways. Or as we've had another, looks like speeding in the pit lane, as Guido Montemino has picked up a stop-go 30 penalty for their troubles. That will not be doing the race any good, as Marvin Helget has now caught up and passed. I believe that is the Aston Martin of Civic. Now your back markers to clear. And that is a Lamborghini ahead of them, a lap down at the moment. But at the moment, the gap now between Helget and Gonçalves currently sitting around 8 seconds. Just 5 of our drivers, 5 of our lead drivers at least, yet to make their mandatory pit stop. We should see the return of the net order into this race, as Matthias Pentilla takes to the pit lane. There's just been a move for P16. We can take a look at that. Oh wait, no, apologies, not a move. It's just a fight out of the pit lane, as Christophe Demey can't quite keep ahead of Klein. There's a battle out of the pit lane. Fighting over P12 in the pro standings. penalty for car number 70 is Thomas Wilkes. Wilkes not having the best day of it. We'll have to head back to the pit lane to serve a penalty. After his early pit stop, Kevin Nordmet also looking to carve his way through the field up into P20, battling with Elliot Hicks. They come into the second corner. A little bit of the sand there is Nordmet. So the 5-second penalty appears at next, which you can only imagine was for that tap into the corkscrew we saw a few laps ago, but I interrupt myself here as we come into the corkscrew. As Nordmet gets by Elliot Hicks. Now a sizable gap to the next car in his class, as Christophe Demey is around 20 seconds up the road. Push time for Kevin Nordmet, but that very driver, Christophe Demey, is pulled up right behind Ben Klein, emerged out of the pits just behind Klein a few short laps ago, and is currently running at a very similar pace. Both drivers in the low 1 minute 24s last time around. Just 0.08 of a second separating their lap times. So, close battle, and don't think they're really close enough to be affecting each other's pace at the moment as they approach one of the back markers. When I say back markers, I believe actually that is the leader of the current Wehrmacht. McDermott going long in this stint allows the two pro drivers, or there's one of the pro drivers past. May not going to be too pleased by that. Although McDermott is leading this race, McDermott still needs to make their mandatory pit stop. Does well to just dive on deep into the corner and allows Christophe Demey through. And now I think the only two drivers yet to make their mandatory pit stop are Conor McDermott and Greg Harrison. As Klein has caught right onto the back of Ewan Stitchbury. These drivers fighting for position, even if they're in different classes. Wow, that was scary stuff on the brakes there into the corkscrew. Definitely seemed like Sven had a little bit of an overspeed, but there off hits the sausage curb into the gravel. That has allowed Demey through. And now, Klein needs to collect his car and very nearly stopped McDermott being able to enter the pit lane. That could have been quite a scary incident. I think we've just seen Civic off in the gravel. That has allowed Harkema through up into E13. So not bad for Harkema, who took that early pit stop. Here's Attila, after his pit stops, has found himself now down in P5. So we take an opportunity to have a look at who are winners and losers so far in this race. I think, looking at this list of winners and losers, I think I'm going to call bullshit on how this is calculated. Currently telling me Thomas Spike is up 33 positions, and he, my friends, is last. So I'm going to ignore that. Let's see if we can take a look at our standings at the moment. See our winners and losers from the timetable, so just gonna have to go on gut instinct. And my gut instinct is telling me Thomas Spike has lost a good number of positions. As Laguna Seca is the battle for P4 in the silver split as our top 3 silver drivers still all in the group up in P10, 11 and 12, although separated by a bit more of a gap now with Alex carrying that 5 seconds penalty as well as it gets out of the way to allow the users past. The leader passed. Oh, Civic takes a big old chunk of the sausage curb and thankfully has a sizable gap in the traffic behind him. Able to get back on track and get going again. And rejoins, but that is going to bring an end to the battle with Stitch Brute. Now finds himself 14 seconds behind. Jasper Hofstedt. Oh, I was going to say he wants to make his way past Simon Wander, but well, Simon Wander wants to try and stay on the track, I think. As now he's going to be passed by, I say passed, I think that is that's number 77 in the car of Ben Mullard, so it does well just to stay out of the way. On the back of Greg Harrison. Greg Harrison, our one remaining driver yet to pit in this race. Oh, Nordemir runs very wide onto the gravel. That is, or could allow Elliot Hicks back through as they come up to the corkscrew. Nordemir dives defensively. Is he going to get back on the track safely? He does. But has lost the position to Hicks. Has to take care to just keep that position from Harrison as well. As Harrison opts to stay out. Still deciding not quite the time to come in and change, or to top up on fuel or change those tyres. Expect potentially taken fuel to the end of this race. As we've got a three-way battle emerging down in the silver split as Garley, Van Winslow and Matai all within a second of each other, as I think that is the silver driver of Karpinen just pulling off the road. I suspect that must be a hardware issue, although it seems like they're off running again, so I'm not sure what's happened there for Karpinen. If we can see what's happened to them. They come down into the corkscrew. Is this just a trunking of a curb and a little bit of a slide? Oh, no, just pulling off to the side there. Must be going to deal with a personal emergency or perhaps a hardware issue, but returning now to the pits and, oh, yeah, definitely, oh, not returning to the pits. Not quite sure what's going on there for Karppinen, but glad they're able to keep going. As battle rejoins at the front of the silver split race, as Gokhan Actinitz has caught up to McDermott, although it does carry that 5-second penalty, so would need to pass and then get clear of McDermott. This thing stand well within his rights to try and battle this. It looks like Mattei has made his way past Van Winsum. Let's see what's happened here. As Mattei carrying a very similar livery to our race leader. A brave move up the inside. Van Winsum giving him space there. That's a good solid move. Puts Mattei up into P29. As we've got a 5-second penalty coming out for the number 13 car, that is Matthias Pantilla, and that could be quite impactful in the results for tonight's race, as Kieran Hudson not that far behind Pantilla, just 2.8 seconds, and Pantilla's going to have to open up that gap. He wants to hold on to P4 in this race. So what we're seeing here, as I believe that is our leader carving his way through the battle that was emerging between Stitchbury and Halkema. That gap now opened up again as Stitchbury allows our race leader Marvin Helgert through. But Helgert approaching up onto what looks like quite an intense battle as Mark Halkema off the circuit. What happened there? Was there contact, or was that just go to the helicap? Was there contact, or nope? He just stayed on the entry curb a little too long, dipped a wheel onto the gravel and the sand, and spins himself off onto, well, down now into P16. Stitchbury in the end didn't need to wait for Helgert to blue flag his way through, as kind of took himself out of that battle. Van der Heyden not too far behind Hicks at the moment. I think we've just seen another move. Oh, as Garley dipping off on the well, that is going to allow, actually note that's Stitchbury coming through, I believe. Van Winsum right behind. They come into the corkscrew. Is Van Winsum going to go for a move late on the brakes? Gets it to the apex. Lovely move there from Mitchell Van Winsum. It's very well not to make contact. The two drivers giving each other plenty of space. Respectfully done. As Greg Harrison finally makes his way to pit road with less than 10 minutes remaining of this race. But we will have our final order, as I'm not sure if there's been an incident for Marvin Helgert. The number 1 car, and yes there is, looks like contact between number 89 and Alex. Let's have a look to see what's happened here. Oh, a big shunt. I think Helgert just not expecting Lamborghini to brake so early, but when did Summers make his way through? When did he catch up? I think it's just been with Helgert having to carve his way through the traffic. That gap came down, so when the incident occurred, Marvin Helgert losing the lead of this race to Gabriel. And it could potentially be a penalty coming the way of Helgert, That was quite a considerable shunt up the rear, and I don't think that could be deemed as anyone's fault but his own. Looks to make his way by Hofstedt, as Bakos is actually quite close behind, and this is a three-way battle with three different classes involved. As Hofstedt making his way past Gomez. This could actually open the door here for Bakos, so we could actually have the orders reversed here of our classes, but Gomez holding on to the position for now. Well, we're going to check back in with our leaders, because what seems to be emerging here now is a three-way battle over the lead of this race. At the moment, I have to say, sitting in the hot seat really is Streg, with that just over a second and a half behind Gonçalves. Gonçalves with a 5-second penalty, and we suspect probably a penalty coming from Helgut before the end of this race. And with these three drivers being 13 seconds clear of our fourth position driver, Matthias Pentilla. Is potentially going to come down to the checkered flag. Battle emerging, also similar looking battle over P30 in this race, as Royale and Carpenter look to make their way by Jakob. For the number 7 car, that is Von Scheven. There's Matthias Pentilla just behind these two, battling it out. There's another little bit of contact there between the Lamborghini and the Mercedes. I think we're just going to go away and watch another battle, which is hopefully a little cleaner than this one. As Gonçalves, Helgut and Greg now super close. Streg looks to the inside in the corkscrew. Helgut trying to give the squeeze, but looks like, oh, there's contact there, and well, I mean, that could be a penalty coming out for Streg as well. And Marvin Helgut away into the lead. That was just a little bit of a over-exuberant, clumsy move from Streg. Comes up into the corkscrew, positions himself well, but gets onto the sand, brakes a little late, and well, gets to the apex, but there was already a Porsche sitting there, as Lamborghini coming through as well. Doesn't expect the spun cars there and spins himself, but that is a well, a messy end to the battle for the lead. With Helgut now almost 5 seconds clear of Gonçalves. I think even if a penalty does come his way, not going to be too much of an issue. As Actonix has made his way past McDermott. McDermott may be just deciding that caution is the better part of valour. With only 4 minutes remaining of this race, unlikely that Actonix is going to have the pace to pull up that 5-second gap necessary to take this silver split win. McDermott just not wanting to get caught up in any sort of incident, fighting for that position. Run down our top three in each of the splits. Also leading the way in our pro split is Marvin Helget, followed by Gabriel Gonzalez and Streg, as I can get my race control back. Here we go. Helget with that considerable lead now over Gonzalez, as Streg and Gonzalez battle it out. And then in the silver split, we've got leading the way Gökhan Akdeniz in the Red Bull Editions NSF Motorsports, and it's Pro FTL course. There's Colin McDermott, and then racing for the Scuderia Car is Viso Su. And then leading the way in the bronze split is Christoph Bakos, currently running down in P22. And well clear of a number of silver drivers as well, so I suspect there may be some calls for a split adjustment for a number of these drivers. As in the number 992 Only Clones Pro GT team, Simon Wanda, P2 in the bronze AM split. And then P3 in the bronze AMs is Greg Harrison, who been in the wars a little bit, as is his his prerogative in the GT Series. I think it's a rare occasion that we commentate on a race where he doesn't get involved in racing. Usually actually not of his own making, to be fair to Greg. Just usually finds himself in the wrong place at the wrong time, but currently running P3 in the bronze split. And apologies to you, Mike, there. It's okay, CRA, not CRA. Okay, I'll bear that in mind. Thank you for correcting me. As this battle for P2 continues, with Streg getting his way past Gonzalez. Probably not going to matter all that much with 1 minute remaining and 5 seconds the difference in their penalties at the moment. One battle that could be will have an impact on the results of this race is this one here between Viso Su and Conor McDermott. Neither of these two carrying penalties at the moment, as our leader enters onto the final lap of this race. This for E2 in the silver split. That's millimetres between these two cars. This is very good, very respectful. Oh, I spoke too soon. There's contact between the two Ferraris. The Scuderia CRA of Viso Su. Coming out into the corkscrew. Oh, and Viso on the brakes. And oh, Viso Su taking way too much of the curb. Gets back onto the track safely, but could be passed here by Christophe Demey. Round the outside, will turn into the inside for the final corner. There's Nat Track looking to find their way past Ben Mallard as they head up towards the corkscrew, but we will have to leave this battle for now as our race leader out of the final corner and comes to cross the start-finish line to take the win here at the first round of Season 3 of the FRS GT Series. Congratulations to Marvin Helget, who was followed home by Lars Streg and Gabriel Gonzalez. And P4 was Matthias Pentilla. As we wait for the rest of our drivers, as Conor McDermott has fallen back as well behind Christophe Demey. I'm not sure what's happened there, but Gökhan Akdeniz now, at least on track, in the lead in the silver split. And all this could end up actually not just being on track, because Conor McDermott spun, and that is going to allow Gökhan Akdeniz to extend out that 5-second gaps that he needs. Viso Sue is passed as well. So Conor McDermott, who was looking like they were looking for the silver split win, has now dropped off the silver split podium as Civic gets past him as well. As Gökhan Akdeniz crosses the line, takes P10. Next to cross the line will be Christophe Demey, followed by Sven Klein. Oh, sorry, Viso Sue, and then Sven Klein we have coming around the final corner now. In the Good Smile Racing Ferrari 296. He crosses the line. And then actually Conor McDermott to cross the line and does beat Civic, so apologies, my timing tower was somewhat drunk. So Conor McDermott does still get the different step on the podium than he was probably hoping for on the silver split, but takes P3 in silvers. Again, to remind you of our top three in each of the splits. We have got winning the pro split was Marvin Helgert, followed by Gabriel Gonzalez and last strike. Of the silver split, we have got Gökhan Akdeniz, followed by Viso Sue and Conor McDermott. Then down in the bronze AM split, we have got Bakos Wanda, and then some way behind, but still rounding out the podium, is Greg Harrison. So congratulations to all of our split winners and our podium sitters, and a big congratulations to everyone who finished this quite grueling first race of the GT Series. Plenty of traffic to contend with there for both the leaders and the back markers, so well done to everyone. We will be on a break from broadcasting next. No, we won't. No, we will be here next week, where we will be going to. Apologies, allow me to remind myself. We will be going to Kyalami, off to South Africa. So please do tune in for that. Same time, same place next week.